Good morning. I'm Jane. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you're having a nice Sunday morning. Whatever you're doing to get closer to God and your faith is growing, that's wonderful. I encourage you to grow in the way that you are best fed, whether it's a church or a fellowship. Um, there was a video that I left you a few days ago with regard to the vision that I had, the pale horse. I entitled it, "What Does the Pale Horse Mean?" And in the Bible, it talks about a pale horse. Well, without going further into that, I wanted to delve deeper into the fact that I did wait upon God in a patient way, with faith, and in hopes that He would clarify, some of those things that I had been shown. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back a few days and look at an old video that I had posted. What does the pale horse mean? And this may make a little more sense why I'm following up. There are 3 verses I'm going to use in this morning to help you sort of illustrate where I want to go with this. But the first thing that came to my mind in the last couple days to help being patient, waiting upon the Lord, was a verse from John 5, 1 through 8. John 5, 1 through 8 is about a man by the side of the pool of Bethesda. It goes like this. There was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up after the feast to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches, and in this lay great multitude of sick people, blind people, lame, paralyzed, all waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel would come down at a certain time into the pool and stir up the water. Then whoever stepped in first after the stirring of the water was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity for 38 years. When Jesus saw him laying there and knew that he already had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your bed, and walk." Okay, many of us are waiting, some of us longer than others. It doesn't really matter in this story if you're waiting 1 year, 10 years, 30 years. But we do wait upon the Lord. We're asked to wait upon the Lord, and He will renew our strength. I'll give you a verse for that later. But we know He does increase our strength through patience and waiting. And by faith, we are asked to wait upon Him. And faith is one of those things that we can't see or taste or smell, but we know is there. In waiting, one would wonder what takes Jesus so long. Remember, Jesus rides on a donkey, and sometimes a donkey doesn't go as fast as we want it to go. So we have to wait for him in whatever pace that he's going to come in. In Isaiah 40:31, there's a very beautiful verse about an eagle. And it goes, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." How true that is if we wait on Him in faith. Faith is a hard thing to define, but in the Bible, in Hebrews 11:1, it talks about faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Now we know Abraham's faith was considered the strongest in the Bible of anyone, Abraham was considered the friend of God. So Abraham had friends in high places, you might say. Abraham was the friend of God, and he believed in his faith so strongly that when he was called to go out into a place which he should have after received an inheritance, he obeyed, and he went out not knowing where he went. By faith, Abraham sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker was God. So it is good to have faith like Abraham, and it is good to wait at the pool of Bethesda or wherever you're at, in your home, in your town, for whatever reason you need healing. Some of us have more burdens than we can bear, and I spoke about that a few days ago. But I had to stop and think, is what Jesus is saying in John 5:1-8 really about being healed in the flesh and having these things lifted? Or is it really about salvation? Is it really about waiting for him to come and touch our hearts, to come and ask us and call us to be a follower of him? Some of us waited a long time to give our life to Jesus. And in doing so, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, maybe you waited until you were 70 to decide to follow him and give your life to Jesus. And so the wait, you wonder now what the reason for it was. Why did I wait so long? Why did I lay on that mat by the side of the pool so long without lifting it up and just walking in faith? Was it that I was turned off by the church or church people? Was I resisting for some personal reason? Was it I want to blame my family or my parents? Was it that I was just too involved in things that were an obstacle? God only knows what the reason was for our wait to pick up our mat and walk and go on in and feast. But whatever reason it was, we can rejoice. And that is that you've made the choice to pick up your mat and walk now and rise. And that is something to rejoice and be happy for and be glad about, that you followed Jesus with a new faith. Faith can move mountains, and faith can turn your life around. So until I studied that verse and understood that it may not be talking exactly about our diseases and our disabilities, but that it's talking about our salvation, it lifted that verse for me right out of the page. And that was what I wanted to share to you, that we have to pick up our mat and walk ourselves. It isn't like in the Disney movie Aladdin, where Aladdin comes down with his red carpet and picks up Jasmine, and Princess Jasmine goes on the flying carpet to a whole new world, like the song A Whole New World. I won't sing it, but it's up to us. It's up to our own personal conviction and choice in the matter. I want to show you before I let you go here. I got this beautiful cross at a sale. There was no inscription on the back. It didn't say who made it or where it came from. But I just got this just before Christmas for myself. This was my present to me. And anybody out there that does woodworking, it has the name Jesus across his arms, but then in the middle it has the letter S. And that struck me so beautifully because I believe Jesus is the solution. He's the solution, and He is our salvation to our life. Have a good day.